Hi, beautiful. How are you?
Good. I love seeing your face.
I love seeing your face. I forget that people don't know that we're seeing each other, but I haven't seen you in so long and I miss your beautiful face and your essence about you, everything about you. I feel like I've known you forever and I think we got introduced earlier. When did we start working together?
Almost a year ago, I think
Was
now.
it? Wow. Gosh, time flies.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, and so how I met you was through my friend Annie, who would come to you to get fascia blasted.
Yeah.
And of course, I'm like, I
What's
always want to try everything and anything. So I'm like, if it's
that
for
is
my
you?
body and if it's going to make me feel better, why not? And I was like, I was actually like turning, I think I must have been 40 then in my just turned 40. And I'm like starting to notice my body. Actually, it was through COVID. I stopped exercising. The first 3 months of COVID, I stopped exercising and at that time, whatever food you could get at the grocery store, we got. And of course, we got a bunch of comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
And back in that time, that was, what is it, 2020? Was that 2020?
Yeah.
It was raining. Do you remember when it first like March hit? It
Yeah.
rained in California for like a whole month straight. So of course, Blair and I are eating all this comfort food. I wasn't exercising, working around the clock, and I started like seeing cellulite, and I was like, in my body, and it probably took me 8 months to kind of get out of my funk of bad eating and having the desire to exercise again. But I noticed my body change a lot during that time. And that was when I got introduced to you because I wanted to come to you to fix my cellulite. But then I really learned through you because you're so passionate, driven, and motivated and so committed. And I love it that, fascia blasting is really beneficial for your whole body and then I started learning. I mean, my background is sports medicine, so I've learned about the anatomy and physiology, and we really connected on that because I know about the body. Um, so that how important the fascia system is. I'd love to, like, I don't know anyone else. Your profession is so unique. How did you come to actually, do you want to explain what you do
Sure.
and then how you came to that?
Okay. Well, I've always been a little bit ahead of the curve, and I
Mhm.
think I got ahead of the curve because what happened was I noticed the kind of same thing that you did. Mine wasn't a short period of time, though. I was raised on what I consider white trash food, right? Single mom, working her tail feather off, shoving food in front of us like hamburger helper, cream of corn, green beans in the can, and stuff like that in order for her to survive and supply for all of us. And so I started realizing that I was lacking something, but I couldn't have words to it, and I couldn't come to my mom about it because I already felt her stress. So when
How old
I
were
was
you?
I was right around 7, 8
Oh, wow.
when I
Okay.
first started having those observations of my mom's extreme stress level, and
Mhm.
that I was always like wanting to be the rule follower and help her, right?
Mhm.
I don't want to help her. I want to help her. I don't want her to be like that. What can I do? Oh, you want me to jump left? You want me to jump right? Da, da, da. So I didn't have a way to self-soothe myself. I didn't have anyone to go to. I didn't have that. My sister and I were like more enemies. And even still today, we struggle trying
You
to be
just have
friends.
one other sibling. There's
One sibling,
two of
two
us.
years
And
older,
are you the older or younger?
younger.
Okay.
Now she was
Interesting.
the rebellion. So I
Okay.
had that to
Oh,
follow. Like, I don't want
interesting.
to be like that, right? She's the one partying and not going to school, and I'm the one coming home with good grades. And I'm the one like, what do you want me to do now? Okay, okay, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
But I felt vacant of something. I was void. I had a void, and I needed some, I guess, some soothing somehow. And I turned to food. And before I really realized I turned to food, I was well into my teens.
Mm-hmm.
And I had gained like 30 pounds in 1 year between the age of 17 and 18.
Mm-hmm.
And that's right when I was like, super confronted with everything because everyone else's parents were helping them with their entries into colleges. My mom's like, yeah, well, good luck.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have time. Now, to give my mom the fair hand, she did not have time.
Right.
My mom managed to financially take care of my sister and I with no financial help, and I did not even know that until I was 17 years of age, and I didn't have a dad since I was 4.
Hmm.
So, she did quite a great job,
So your
but
dad was in the picture until 4?
was, yeah, until 4.
Uh-huh.
And then but he was also a, a druggie.
Okay.
So there was a little bit of not wanting to be with him, not feeling safe with him, and also many times that he wouldn't show when he was supposed to show.
Right. Hmm.
He ended up doing like prison time and everything for it. And it was
Okay.
actually considered one of the biggest drug bust Oregon had ever seen to date during that time.
And your dad was a part of that?
My dad was it.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So,
I find that
I think my
fascinating.
mom did a really good job, but I noticed I was really using food a lot. And I started noticing that I had used my friends to fill a little of that void. And now they were starting to do their own path for their own futures. And I got more and more scared and more lonely.
Hmm.
And then the next year, between 18 and 19, I put on 30 pounds more. So I had myself up close to like 170, maybe a few pounds over. I'm a petite size, you know me.
Right.
I'm,
I
I
mean,
don't
yeah, you're like, I mean,
I just don't, I'm 5'5". I
yeah,
don't have
you're
things, I don't
so
have
tiny.
shoulders. Yeah,
Yeah.
I have your muscle and I have shape, but I don't have like a lot of girly curves or anything to kind of distribute things around. But I was weighing about 70 pounds more than I weigh today.
Right. Oh,
And,
wow. Okay.
so that is
And
a,
then again, too, you have like an influx of hormones at that time, right? At like
yes,
16, 17, 18. Oh, actually, I mean, I guess you start your cycle
a
earlier
little
than that, but
earlier.
you're also going through all these changes. I mean,
Yes.
I was a nightmare, probably. I
Well,
thought I was a good girl, but I probably was a nightmare, but
actually, I still think I was a good girl.
yeah.
I mean, I like us, I've got a contrast. My sister was, like I said, the rebellion. So for
Hmm.
me, I still look back and think I was a nice girl,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
sister says, how come you were mom's favorite? I'm like, how come?
Yeah.
Well, let me
Where were
tell
you?
you. I think you were there too. So
Yeah.
you might know.
It is
Yeah.
funny, like the different perceptions of like what was probably going on for your sister, what was going on for your mom, and then for you. Cause I have that same thing. I was raised in a divorce family, but it was my father was there, but I split time between them. And so spending, it was like I have my story and my upbringing, and I would share that with my mother. And she's like, that's not how it went. That's not
Mhm.
like what it was. And I'm like, that's how it felt for me, and it's
Yeah.
like, but that's her world was, she was a single mom doing this. And I'm like, this was what happened for me. Like no one
Isn't
was
that
there, it was, but she was out working. But for me as a young child, I just felt like I was alone a lot.
I want to get back to your original question.
Yeah.
However,
Sorry.
I do want to make a really important remark on what you just said.
Hmm.
Our existence is our reality, right?
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
traumas get stored from little tiny things like you having to go to the bathroom, like number 2, when you're little and your mom's trying to rush you off the toilet.
Right.
Those are little things like that are how trauma set in and they stay in. And the thing is they affect every decision and every processes that we ever
Hmm.
make,
Yep.
and they get stored and stuck and they toxify our either our organs or our fascia or something,
Right.
right? So going back to like, I got overweight. I all of a sudden realized one day that I didn't want to live that grossly insecure. I was starting to really remove myself from a lot of social situations. Now, I'm a complete introvert, so that's not
Hmm.
necessarily so hard for me. But what I do love is human beings, and they fill my soul. I love human connection more than anything else.
Interesting.
Right?
So you're an interview and you love humans.
But I can't do a lot out. When I go
Okay.
out, I gotta come
Gotcha.
home and
Right.
I've gotta look at my schedule and go, okay, I can do that. But if I do that other social event,
Hmm.
I'm gonna need to have like 3 or 4 days, almost nothing, right? So
Hmm.
I've learned how to manage that a little bit better
Right.
and not make it wrong. But it was like me realizing that I did not want to live that long with this grossly insecure that I was feeling. And I've got so many longevity linked genes on both sides. So immediately
What does
I
that mean? Longevity genes.
like,
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I get what you're saying. Like
yeah, like,
long
yes,
lives.
long
Sorry.
lives on both
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
spectrums.
Okay.
So I was like, okay, I got to turn things around. So immediately I'm like, okay, well, what do I do? Well, during those days, right, 80s, cut out red meat, cut out butter, and cut out fried foods.
Yeah.
Okay. And like, okay, no problem. So all of a sudden, I'm like 18, 19, 20 pounds a little off. And all I done is really take and cut off some major things, which I was eating a lot of donuts. So, and I started working out at a women's gym and I had to drive extra farther to go to a women's only facility,
Mm,
but it's where I felt I could be myself at, right? And
hmm.
they supported me there and they were always like the best cheerleaders with all the staff and watching me shrink. And you know how it is? It's like if someone's feel like you've got your crew and they've got your back, it even motivates you more. And you
Mm,
don't only want to do it for you, but you want to now do it for them. And it's amazing how that dominoes or that snowballs, right?
right.
You know
Right.
that.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, and so I learned how to like do these little things to kind of tweak my diet. And
Mm,
then I started studying nutrition. And that's when I was like, hold it. Not every single human being should be eating the same thing. This doesn't make sense. But I was frustrated and I went by the natural golden rules, for more people, most people. And I was getting more vitality and learning more systems and learning more rituals that were feeding where I wanted to go. And I was feeling so good. I didn't even realize stuff that I was like so tired and so brain dead. I had no idea because it was my everyday existence.
right.
I was in that fog and no clue that I was in that
Was
fog.
that the fog when you were 70 pounds heavier?
Yes.
And you didn't know that you were in that fog at that time until you got out of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I'm
Hmm.
like, I want everyone to have this.
And then you noticed it was the shift in the foods that you were eating that got you out of the fog.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Gotcha.
And so then I'm like, okay, what is going on? So I started nutritional consulting, right? I went and got
Mhm.
my nutritional life
Oh,
coaching
awesome.
certification
Uh-huh.
and I started doing nutritional consulting. And from there I
At
opened up,
18?
well, no, that was about 23.
Okay.
And then I moved to Hawaii. I'm over in Hawaii and I'm playing for a couple years, doing miscellaneous stuff. Then I moved back to the States.
Uh-huh.
And, but I lived a life of like in a bathing suit for a number of years.
Right.
Never in a million years did I think I was going to be able to do that.
Right.
Right. And I'm in my mid 20s. I'm not like 13.
Right.
Right. But I was rocking it and I was so proud of myself,
Right.
honestly, that I really understood about how to create systems. And
That's
I
actually
think
really awesome. I love that because I see you as such a cheerleader for women and men, but like you're
I love
really
women. Yeah, I love
just
women.
really an advocate for women and like having them love their bodies. So I love that too. At such a young age, you learned how to love and appreciate your body because you had that contrast and the journey that you went through at such a young age and you like discovered it yourself. I too had a similar thing. Like I, at a young age, got really into health and nutrition because I played soccer. So I knew I was like, and I had asthma. And I knew that if I, for something, my father played racquetball. So I was at the racquetball club with him and had equipment there. And I taught myself all the machines. And then through time, I just realized like something clicked for me that maybe I could get better at soccer if my nutrition was better. And I started the same thing. So I love it that our paths are very like parallel
Yes,
and
yes. And isn't it interesting
yeah,
like, how good you can feel when you're eating right?
I know it
It's
is.
it's 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 like you really don't know until you know, and then it's
Hmm.
like that light bulb goes
Yeah.
off.
So now you're in your 20s, you're in Hawaii.
And then I came back to the
Uh-huh.
island, to the mainland, moved to California, and that's where all the magic started happening. And I'm like, what do I want to do? I want to I want to spread all of this knowledge and give all this love up and on my fellow sisters. How do I get it done? And
Right.
so I opened a juice bar. Now,
Mhm.
these were days that juice bars weren't popular, right? People were like tofu and wheatgrass. Now, I wouldn't serve anyone tofu today, but
Right.
during those days, that was the thing to do, right? And so I had a juice bar and then I opened up a second juice bar. Now, I had
Oh, look at
no
you.
idea what it was like to run a business.
Right.
I'm not a business minded woman. I'm a heart driven woman, and I've got really good discipline habits once I set up my systems. Because I'm a creative creature,
Mhm.
if I create enough systems to support what I need to accomplish, I can let my creativity soar,
Right. Oh,
right?
that's
And so
interesting.
that's a
That's good.
key. And I call them rituals,
Uh-huh. I
because so
love
that
that.
they feel like they support you,
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Because I find like because I'm a very systematic person too, and I love systems and putting processes into place, but sometimes I can get so robotic in getting the system and the process in place that I can't do the creative because I have my process. So I love that you
Yes.
can be creative in that.
Well, don't you think if you create the process, then you have
Yeah.
the space to be creative?
I think though too, I can get so rigid in like keeping to the process, but I love that. Like because and maybe it is because the process is part of the creation as well. So
And if you think about it, as a true entrepreneur, you can be creative, but if you don't have any processes under control, any systems, like
yeah.
the chances of you like fulfilling what you want to deliver to this world is more of a crapshoot than ever, right?
Right.
But if
Right.
you really try to create systems and structure, but then also like, I think one thing that you said, which this has been one of my Achilles heel, is, and I think this is what you're saying, so I'm going to restate it in a
Hmm.
different way, and you say
Hmm.
yay or nay, right? For our listeners to really kind of understand that, like, sometimes when you're so regimented, you're not in the flow, so you
Yeah.
can't see the right avenue to come your way
Yeah.
because you're so like, oh no, this is the steps I set up.
Hmm.
Yeah, I can be that could be me
Hmm.
for
And I
sure.
mean, and I see like probably the last 3 years, and again, I'm aware of this, so I can notice like, oh, I'm doing this. Nothing else can come in, no new ideas if I'm so regimented on this. So
Yeah.
like trying to be more flexible or open. I mean, I think I am open-minded, but like just being more flexible in my ways, and maybe
Mhm.
I don't have all the answers. So because
Oh,
that's when new ideas can come, or you get a thought, or someone pops up into your life,
yeah.
you never know. But
I think
oh,
that's one of
sorry.
the things I've loved that I've learned is to ask for input, ask for feedback, and like those little butterflies that you get in your stomach, and when
Mm,
you're not sure what it all means. When that happens to me, like when I feel some intuitive thing come my way, but I'm not quite sure what it is,
hmm.
sometimes it feels like excitement, sometimes it feels like anxiety, just depending on where my sleep level's been or my thought processes is for that day. But I try to sit back, and that's when I'll meditate, and that's when I'll lay back there and I'll go, okay, what are you trying to tell me, universe? Where do you want me to be? Where am I best of service?
Yeah. And then do
I
you
can
usually find the answer that way?
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
never would ever do that. And I'm 58, so I
Hmm.
want everyone to learn from me. And most of my girlfriends are younger. And
Hmm.
that's really my driving force is don't come to me, ask me if I can impart any pearls of wisdom on health and beauty or life. I want to. I don't want everyone to take as long as I did.
I love that. So you're 58, right?
Yes.
That is amazing because I mean, to me, you're so vibrant and just, I mean, I always tell you, you have more energy than me because you're always whipping around.
Yeah, I do have a lot of energy.
and,
I'm
and you
glad.
always say that's like your saving grace is your energy.
Yes.
And that's probably true, excuse me, of how you eat, right? So, but I lost my train of thought. It will come back to me. Um,
Intuition, flow,
yeah, sorry, I lost my cough,
trusting.
got me. Um, yeah, so oh man. I don't know.
I think that it's more than food though, but I will tell you, every live post that I'm doing, every live feed that I'm teaching people how to fascia blast in front of thousands of women at one time online, I
Yeah.
keep telling them food matters. You want to see your fascia change in seven
Oh,
to 10
yeah.
days. Food matters,
Now I remember what I was gonna say. So you're
Okay, great.
58. Yeah. So you like you're so vibrant. To me, I remember I asked you, I was like, how are you so sexy? Like
Uh-huh.
to me, you're just so sexy as a woman. And I love that because I feel, I mean, from my perspective, and I'm seeing it more and more women just like striking of like I'm sexy at all ages. But I mean, like I just love that because you were like, well, it was just always something. Like, how was that for you? Like,
Oh
because
gosh,
I
I didn't feel sexy for younger, but then when you take responsibility on for your body and you're prideful of like the fuel that you're putting in it. Now, I don't want anyone to think that they need to be perfect. That's one of the best things about coaching with me is I can really look at their current lifestyle, help them create structures and rituals,
right,
but not be so regimented that they can't have like chocolate cake or a glass of wine or fried calamari or caprese salad, whatever their thing may be, right?
right,
But I have learned I've learned what I need, and I don't ignore those signs anymore. I don't feel bad if I need to get more sleep. I don't feel bad if I could say, no, I can't do a third social thing in a week. It's too
right,
much for me, right? Not with me seeing clients all day long and then doing live things and making courses and doing all my stuff behind the scenes and then social. Like it
right,
can't happen. So I've learned to have boundaries for myself that keep me feeling whole. And now when I feel whole, I can feel sexy every single moment. You could put me in my bathrobe and I'll feel sexy
oh, I
if
love that.
I've provided the right care for myself.
Right. I mean, that says it all, right? When you're
Yes.
feeling whole in yourself. So,
Yes.
and you talked about like the work that you do, and you offer so much to women and men. Do you want to talk about, because I've seen you for fascia blasting and
Lymphatic work.
the lymphatic work.
Yes.
And I know you offer so many. I mean, every time I go, you're like, why don't you
I
try this?
know.
Try
I
this. Try it
know.
all. But I love it because you provide natural solutions for people, as opposed to going and getting like liposuction
Yeah.
or going and getting like cut. So like let's talk about some of the work that you offer.
Okay. Can I talk about my transitions?
Yeah, of course.
So, going and having those juice bars before juice bars were
Mhm.
popular, my audience at that time wanted like beer and pizza, and I'm trying to feed them tofu sandwiches and wheatgrass, right? They're like, what the heck? No. Well, then I decided that I wanted to open up an organic meal delivery service. And I shut down both of my juice bars and I did only nutritional consulting as I was figuring out my menu, my suppliers, my commercial kitchen, and all of that. And so then I'm doing a meal delivery service, an organic meal delivery service, well before my time. So here I'm having to teach people what is juice bar. Then I have to tell them what is an organic meal delivery and why do I have to spend $28 for a grass-fed steak? I'm like, geez, that's about what I pay for it to give it to you.
And
So
what like year or like what time period is this in?
that was when I was 29. No, that is when I was like 37. So
Okay.
I had the juice bars when I first came, and then I did the organic meal delivery, I think when I was 37 or 38.
So is that in the 90s by then?
Yes.
Yeah,
And so, yeah,
which
that was well before
yeah.
my time, right? Well, then during that process, I'm like, listen, I don't believe that everyone needs to have oatmeal for breakfast. This one size fits all does not fit.
Mhm.
So then I started doing more nutritional education, learning about different metabolism types and how to feed people specifically to their metabolism. Now, we weren't running DNA at that time, so I got schooled and certified on a process called metabolic typing. Just putting you through 200 questions to
Mhm.
determine how you might metabolize proteins, carbs, and fats so I can teach you the best way. So then here I am once again educating my clientele, right? Which is
Mm-hmm.
hard.
Right.
Everyone knows what nail polish is, but if you're having to spend all the time not only educate them, you have to be out in front of people. You have to get the word out there.
Especially I think in the 90s in that environment. But you all are also living in California at that time, correct?
Yeah,
So it's a little bit
better
yeah,
market,
a little
right?
bit more open maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People are seeking more
Mm-hmm.
information here.
Mm-hmm.
So then I started when DNA came out. I think DNA came out in '06. I started running
What
DNA
is
for,
what
so
is the DNA?
I would run your DNA through the
Okay.
laboratory to get what you need in the macronutrients and as
Oh,
far as
okay.
also exercise and then lifestyle. Lifestyle, like how are you releasing serotonin and dopamines? Are you sensitive to circadian cycles? Are you having flavored, like trouble with bitter flavors? And so then I create a whole system of how to work with every plus and minus you have so that we can express your good DNA and squash your bad DNA.
Oh, so that's all based on each individual's DNA.
Correct.
Oh,
I have
brilliant.
been doing that nutritional consulting since 2008 and still today. And
Okay.
my first four clients were medical doctors that have been part of my meal delivery service or nutritional consulting through the
Uh-huh.
years, right?
Uh-huh.
So that was fun, right? I'm like, and so that's still one of my favorite things to date. It was the vehicle that allowed for me to go from 118 to 100 pounds and hold it off. Because at 118, actually, I was pretty happy with what I looked and I held that for a
Right.
long time. But my DNA, when I became eating exactly how my body wanted, I released those 18 pounds like that. And I thought, wow, I guess this is where I was supposed to be at. But I
Right.
didn't know it, right?
Right.
So I've been able now. I've been doing DNA since 2008.
I love that.
I
Uh-huh.
can run it remotely. I send the kits out, swab. We send it to lab. They give me a report. I make a report from that. I deliver that to my clients. So still going with that. And
Okay.
then what happened is I didn't want to do the meal delivery service anymore because it was so labor intensive.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, whew, these hands need to not be dishwashed hands for a couple years and recover, right? Um, and so I gave my staff and everything and my clients 3 months notice.
Uh-huh.
And then we kind of dwindled down and we just all collectively got together and did what we could for the clients until their last days. And then I had to borrow cooks from other meal deliveries to help me for my last couple of clients and everything, but I got it all worked out.
Right.
And then from there, I called, during that transition, I called one of the plastic surgeons that I was working or that, did my DNA and also that had my meal delivery service.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, okay, Dr. Chasen, I want to come in there and I want to show your clients about pre and post nutritional care as well as lymphatic care. And that was my first breach
Oh,
into body treatments because I was born with such a sluggish
that's
lymphatic
genius.
system. And
That's genius.
yeah,
So,
and it was like,
yeah. But
so,
you didn't have the treatments at that time. So did you develop them or did you already
I
know?
already knew which
Okay.
machines I wanted. I already knew what manufacturer, everything,
Oh, right.
right?
Cause you studied, you
Yeah.
like, you
Yeah, you
researched
know how it
everything.
is. I
Yeah.
I like I love to research things. Well, plus when it's personal to you, you're even more invested,
Wait, so you
you
didn't
know?
have the equipment? Did the doctors provide the equipment or
No,
did
so then I
you?
went and bought a $56,000 endomology machine, still have it today,
Mm-hmm.
and it's one of my babies.
Mm-hmm.
I see well, I don't know that everyone knows, but our lymphatic system is our debris cleaning system. It's kind of like
Mm-hmm.
our organ, like the liver. It's like the cleanser. But
Right.
our lymphatic system runs right below the skin surface.
Right.
And if we don't give, if that's not moving and those ducts aren't filtering, then we don't have something to clean our body's debris out. Now we get debris from like the clothes we've got on, the chemicals in them, from the
Right.
chemicals we eat and breathe, from the toxic
Yeah.
thoughts we think, right? From the
So
makeup we put on.
I just had the thing. So also too, if we're feeling sluggish or when we're getting sick, could that also be too because our lymphatic system is overwhelmed?
Yes.
Yeah.
And so we want that to move.
Right.
And then, through the years, I was doing all these long distance sports. I was at the weight I wanted. I was helping now my lymphatics, but I was out of clothes. I was like, what is going on?
Out of
Right?
what?
Out of clothes.
Oh, okay.
And I'm looking down going, ooh, I don't like that. Now I put on clothes. I'm like, oh, hello. But out of clothes, I was getting a lot of dimpling and I started getting like bulkier areas and not quite sure why.
Okay.
Then I learned about fascia blasting.
Gotcha.
And I learned about our fascia connective tissue system.
Mm-hmm.
And that is a continual web like through our body. It's supposed to suspend things from things. It's supposed to suspend muscle fiber from muscle fiber, tendons from tendons, and ligaments and organs and everything. And it weaves in and out of every organ and around every single muscle fiber and throughout this continuous web in our whole entire body, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, hold it. If my fascia system, my superficial fascial system, is in my lymphatic system, or vice versa, right? One or the other, they lie in the superficial, is has got a clamp down on the fascia system. It's clamping down on my lymphatic system. And it's creating some of these looks that look like cellulite, which all that is adhesions in our fascia. So I started researching that more and more and more. And then I went and I got a massage license so that I would be able to work on the body with the fascial system, right?
Awesome.
And so here I'm at the doctor's office. I've got my lymphatic care. I've got my DNA nutrition. I'm now bringing on fascia blasting. And the doctors think I'm crazy because
really?
I've got these silly looking tools. And they're like, hold it. You're certified in 8 lasers, Tamara, and they're like $300 per session.
Yeah.
But you want to bring in this $200 treatment for the client. I'm like, that's what the client needs.
Right.
I'm not going to sell them a $300 treatment when they need the $200 one.
Right.
Right? They're always like, how come you get such great results from all the clients? You get better results than any of our nurses or doctors. I go, because I understand the internal system.
Right.
I understand fascia, I understand lymph, I understand nutrition and how it all relates to our overall well-being. And if you step too far forward and you don't get the foundation done, you're wasting time and money and emotions.
It's amazing how 8 years of medical school, like
I know, right?
I love that though. It's like you're a little detector of the body, but yeah, it is all connected.
Yes.
That's genius. Okay, go on. I want to know more.
So then that's 7 years ago that I got into fascia work. And now I'm blending fascia work with like sound therapy and radio frequency and lymphatic care and emotional trauma release. And just a few months back, I took it to the face and I got certified by a Russian company that knows how to do the fascia work within the face. So it's part of its vocal massage, so inner mouth massage, and the massage all on the face, neck, chest, and head in order to get the natural lifting, right?
Okay.
So here we've taken this technology that's on our body and we're putting it in the face, and we can help with TMJ, migraine headaches, and also give you a natural facelift look and boost. All from natural remedies for making your body healthier.
Do you think those injuries that you're saying, like TMJ and migraines, do you think those come from like the fascia being tightened?
I couldn't say for sure, but I would probably put money on it.
Okay. I gotcha.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a doctor,
right.
But you think like this. If you've got a TMJ that is tight muscle, now if you've got strands of fascia around every single strand of muscle, and then inside 1 or 2 strands, you've got another bundle, and then another bundle, another one, and each bundle has another wrapping of fascia, and you get that dry, dehydrated, right? Literally dehydrated, not enough water, or you don't have the right minerals in your body, or you've got a biomechanical problem where maybe you're slouching over too much, or you're wearing too tight of a bra that's cutting into your side, or too tight of a waistband, or you're walking with one leg out to the side, that is a misuse or overuse, if it's like a bra or a belt, of our biomechanics. And it doesn't allow for our muscles or the tissues to move. So if we've got a knot in our jaw muscle, which is one of the strongest muscles we have on our entire body, that is a knot in your fascia that is within the muscle structure. So it's not superficial, but it's a deeper layer of fascia that's got a knot in it. If you're combing out a knot in your muscle, then if that's all it is, then I would think that fascia therapy could certainly take care of it.
Right.
Many times with migraines, it's a tightening of a stress response. When we get tight in our head, we stop the movement of the fascia going back and forth. Many people have noticed a big improvement in their migraines or their headaches using the fascia tools.
Oh, I love that.
So, it's just endless. It's a really rich, effective communication system. And we're just learning more and more about it. Did you know was the first journal entry in medical journals was 2006. This is something they've cut through our body and noticed it every single time they've peeled back skin and never questioned what it was.
It's kind of true though, because like from what I know of it, it's like you say, thin layer around the muscle, then it's around a bundle, and then there's a fascia around a bigger bundle, and it just kind of keeps going. So yeah, it's kind of what is I would
right. And then you think about this. If it's tight one area, because it's continuous, it moves in and out of those muscles, in between tendons and ligaments, in and out of every organ.
Right.
So if it's tight here and can this work right?
Describe what you're saying, because we can see each other.
Got you. Right. Okay. So say if you've got, a dress shirt on, and you don't have it buttoned. And so when you're pulling on one collar of it on your left side, and it doesn't affect anything on the right side, right? Now, if you button that shirt and then you try to pull on it, it's affected, right?
Right.
So any adhesion in the body is going to affect the whole body.
Right. Right. Because it's pulling it off everywhere.
Yeah. And every dent or every blocked, bulked area that doesn't seem to move well on your body, like saddlebags, deltoids, traps, cellulites, the most common things to see. Those are only adhesions in the fascia. So if we find something to comb those babies out, guess what works? Toxins are removed, our mobility is restored, and our lymphatic system can now flow better. So everything I do is always thinking, how do I allow for myself and my ladies to look and feel their very best today, but that's also going to help them feel their very best 20 years down the road. You don't need to compromise anymore. We're learning that more and more and more. These young girls are going to this drastic measures to look good when they don't need it. There's so many nice natural remedies that really support us and help with all systems when we take care of it. It's like, you can't go without water, people,
Right. I know. I love that. It's like a one-stop shop. So what type of results are you seeing from the fascia? And I know that you had plantar fasciitis, which you healed by doing the fascia.
I mean, I have personally seen dramatic results with nerve damage, burn victims, mastectomy clients, autoimmune issues. I'm really lucky because in this culture here, like we said before, Steph, things are more progressive here. People are more curious here. They feel more comfortable, like looking and researching things, right? With like Oklahoma, things don't really come in their algorithms as much as ours, right?
Right.
So,
I mean, they might be moving forward. I don't know what it's like for them there. I know I was on the East Coast. I think, things kind of come to California first and then kind of migrate out, or like the bigger cities, but and
so like I've got like 3 naturopath doctors, actually 2 of them that are MDs also, but they have a naturopathic practice. They send me their clients
Oh, I love that.
because of the natural necessity to have proper lymph and proper fascia care.
Right.
And then for the DNA I mean, I've got one that comes to me that's like, wants me to put her on a diet. I'm like, don't you know how to eat? We've already
Right.
ran your DNA for the naturopath MD.
Oh, wait, and she doesn't want to do it?
Well, you know how it is. Life gets busy and it's hard
Yeah.
for her to slow down because
Right.
she's slammed.
Right.
Her business is, you know,
No, she
fruitful.
needs your meal kit
Yeah,
plan.
she does. Yeah.
So
So,
then, so you offer that. And then I remember too showing what are those little dots? Remember
so that's a plasma pen. So that is a treatment that you do little microscopic burns in order to do a lifting to the skin in a specific direction. So for an example, like you're a little bit younger and you've got really nice thick skin.
Mhm.
So for you, it wouldn't be a great option for you at this age. You want to
Mhm.
wait till your skin is a little bit thinner and a little bit more crepier. That's where that comes in. And because I'm older, I've gone through a great amount of weight loss in my day. And I also have thin white girl skin. I was really drawn to that as an option or solution, that didn't put me under the knife to give me a little lift and boost. And so that's called a plasma pen. So, and that's really more on the beauty realm, so, but that's fun. That's where a lot of creativity comes in, which I love looking and assessing. That's my strength, assessing
Right.
your tissue, assessing what I suggest you do, where would be the first spot, where would be the best way to change your posture, how do you do that first, how do you change your lifestyle first, all of that is
Right.
fun. And
So
then
going back to, sorry to jump around, but going back to the fascia blasting, let's take someone through that process, because Tamara, like you said, you're like 100 pounds.
yeah,
And you're like, oh, she can't hurt me. But you get on that table and you're like, I mean, there is times that I want to like punch you in a good, loving way.
right, right. And I'm like this, I'm like, okay, stop, take a deep breath. It's gonna hurt 30
I
seconds.
know. I like just want
So,
to like hold you, and I'm like swearing, and you're like, it's okay, it's okay.
breathe it out, breathe it
Yeah.
out.
So it's not like the most pleasant. And you do also teach online. So like if people aren't in the Southern California area, you also actually have online courses that can empower people to learn themselves, correct?
Yes, and then I also do like remote assessment sessions
Mm-hmm.
and even remote blasting so that I can see their skin, I can see how it's developing, where should they start, where do they need
Cool.
to spend more time and
Uh-huh.
stuff like that. But one thing is like fascia for me is not painful anymore.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
painful when your fascia and your lymphatic system isn't as healthy. The more healthy it gets, the more the pain goes. Now,
Gotcha.
one thing to consider, fascia is like our hair, right?
Yeah.
So if you touch your
Mm-hmm.
hair doesn't have any sensory, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the same with the fascia fibers. Those are sensory fibers. So say you had a knot in your hair and you're trying to unknot it. You wouldn't take the back of a comb or you wouldn't take a pillow and try to get a knot out of your hair, right?
Yeah.
Just
Right.
like you wouldn't take a foam roller and trying to get a knot out of your fascia. You need a
Mm.
comb like substance. Now, if I am not going to hold my hair that has the knot in it so that it's not torquing on my head, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to start just combing through it to get that knot out, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not holding it so it doesn't pull on my head each time, it's going to hurt my head, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
there takes some finesse and everything because this fascia has all the sensory. I need to somehow figure out how to get my work done, how to increase your mobility,
Mm-hmm.
increase your lymphatic drainage, increase or decrease your inflammation, your stored traumas, and your adhesions with
Yes,
as
yes,
much,
yes.
I know, with as much
Oh my
finesse
God. Yeah. Yeah.
But sometimes it does take a little pain because
Yeah.
those are stuck,
Yep.
you
Yeah.
know, and,
It's
you
nicely
know,
put.
but what people don't understand is not only can they change how their body's feeling, they can change how their body's looking. I
Yep.
used to have calves that didn't fit in boots. My thighs and my calves were almost the same size, and I didn't have a variation from calf to ankle.
Mm-hmm.
Not anymore, girl. I take
Mm-hmm.
my fascia tools. I spend more times in the areas now that I'm pain free. I
Mm-hmm.
spend more time in the areas that I want smaller or more defined so that I can carve a prettier body.
Right.
It all works together. But each time I'm doing anything on my body, I'm giving it more love for more health and more vibrance.
Right. How often do you recommend somebody like fascia blasting just starting out?
Oh gosh, that is very individual depending on your fascia type. The more firm your fascia type is, which is like yours and mine,
Mm-hmm.
the more consistent we need because we need a
Mm.
reminder unwind, 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 unwind.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get someone that's really squishy tissue,
Mm-hmm.
they already have loose connective tissue fibers. And so
Mm-hmm.
they might have a little knot here and there, but if you keep pulling those fibers that are already loose, you're going to make it more loose. So
Interesting.
you have to
Right.
like think how are their fiber
Mm-hmm.
structures
Yep.
and coach them based on that.
Right.
So
That makes
for
sense.
me, I fascia blast 5 days a week,
And
right?
that's you've been doing this
Seven
for
years.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then I'll have a client, I'll be like, you should start by doing it light and brisk twice a week.
Yep.
And then let's see if we could progress you to like one really focused, concentrated on your problem areas another time a week, but not full body.
Right.
And then once we get those areas better, let's go back to less times per week and maybe a full body blast.
Right. So do you
Right.
usually people see you that many times too? Or I mean, I guess because you teach remotely though too, but
I try to get them to do a little of their homework, their
right,
home, you know, because you could do it in the shower. It's best to do it warm. It's not
right,
fun. It is labor intensive. I'm not
right,
going to kid you. And that's why a lot of people like to come to me
right.
because they're like, oh, I don't want
Yeah.
to do that. And like, I
Well,
get
and
it.
it's also too because you're lying down and you get a different angle than like
Yeah,
if I
more
was to do
leverage.
it. And like that's what I did when I was coming religiously to you. I'd come once a week and then do the other days myself. And yes, I have fallen off the wagon. And
Yeah,
I
but
have it
you,
in my head that I'm like, oh, I have to do this. I have to do this. But yeah, like you say, like the timing, but I do know, I know I'm coming to see you in like a few weeks. So
yeah, yeah,
I know, but I do love it. And of course I love, cause you also have the infrared sauna there
yeah. Big
that,
fan of infrared
yeah.
saunas. You know, especially now, you know, we're in a time that we really need to stimulate our immune system as much as possible, you know,
Mm-hmm.
with COVID and all. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm a huge fan of infrared sauna. I try to do infrared sauna the 5 days a week also.
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time that's where I'm doing my fascia blasting because I'm already in there and I'm already warm. That's
Okay.
why I also try to teach people maybe the best place for you is in the shower, right?
I
Because
do. Yeah.
yeah,
Shower or bath,
yeah, you're
Yep.
already in there, you're already warm. It's a natural, you know,
Mm-hmm.
easy progression. But you know, a lot of people feel really intimidated by it, and I'm not quite sure. I don't really have that personality. I'm in, I'm more like you in the sense I'm curious, like, how did these flowers come over, but these ones stay up? And let me play with them to see if I can figure that out. I
Right.
love picking up things, you know, and testing them and analyzing and assessing them. And I trust my own intuitions
Yeah.
well enough to know that I'm not going to hurt myself. I'm
Yeah.
not stupid, right?
Yeah.
If I get too much pain, I'm going to say stop. But
Right.
I do consider myself a curious George. And that's exactly what I always call you, curious George.
I love it. I
I
know.
told Annie, I'm so surprised she didn't call her podcast Curious Georgette, you know?
I
Yeah.
didn't hear that one, but I think yeah, there was many names going back and forth
Yeah.
on it.
Yeah. It's so
I
fun.
love
So
that.
cute.
Well, I love your mission in life and your commitment to people. And I really just feel that from you. Like you're just so committed and just, yeah, like a little ball of love. I just love
Yeah.
it.
Thank
I know
you.
too, we were talking before and you had a message you also wanted to share about people about
I
their
think
health?
that, I want to be there for the whole planet,
Mhm,
right? And both you and I have that in us, and so does Annie Banani, the one that
mhm,
actually connected the two of us.
mhm,
That's one of the superpowers we've been blessed to have and to get, is that we've got this thing inside of us that exudes through us, that we want to help as many people as we possibly can. And I want people to understand that it's not me, and it's not you, and it's not Annie Banani. It can really be put into your own hands. And if we could somehow help you come up with your methods so that people can put a lot of their health in their own hands, it can be done. And it
mhm.
doesn't have to be laborious and crazy. It's just a few fundamental things that are really essential. And for each person, it can vary slightly. But if you go to people like us, we might be able to help you get into that rhythm and that groove so that you can thrive and flourish in your whole life, you
Right.
know?
And it
But
really like, and then what I'm hearing in that message is like starts with a curiosity, right? When you're
yes,
just getting curious of why do I feel this way? Or maybe what could I do to make this feel better? And start like coming from the intention of loving your body. And like, cause I know for me, I think too, going back with COVID, I realized how abusive I was to my body. And I mean, I was running 6 days a week and jujitsu, boxing, CrossFit. Like I was just doing it all. And it was like more an abuse to my body. And I had stopped it all, but it was like a shift from going into loving and appreciating my body. And I was like, I don't need to
yeah,
do all that stuff,
yeah,
but now when I do it, it's like my body wants to move. I want to feel good. And that it was like, yeah, I went to you because I had the intention of getting the cellulite, but I didn't really have that much, but um, I wanted a cellulite, but then it became something bigger. It became about like the health of my body, which is, I'm always trying something new for my body, or I always said I was like a supplement junkie, but I know I've talked to you about the DNA food, and I would love to talk to you about that again. So when I
yeah.
see you.
Well, one thing, and I look forward to that.
Hmm.
One thing I do remember, one of the first things I said to you when you were on my treatment table and you were doing all that exercise and
Hmm.
everything, I love healthy rituals, right? That,
Yeah.
but I was like, do less.
Yeah.
Don't know. Yeah, don't go to do. Oh yeah, rest.
Yeah. I was like,
You
what?
you already are so active in here as your
Mhm,
natural state of being,
mhm,
and then you were transitioning from like working crazy to a new position within the company, working crazy,
mhm.
and then also putting the high demands on your body,
Yeah.
and then you're like, hold it, my legs used to be like this when I did soccer. Well, yeah, you probably weren't, bombarding your body with all the stressors that you've got then, and you wondered, how can I get more balance back to my legs?
I
I
love
feel like,
I love that point too, because I know too, it's like, oh, well, I used to do this. I should be able to do this, and I should be do this, and I could do this, but it's like, no, no,
you have to
you know,
look at everything in
yeah,
your life that's going on. And that's
yeah,
one of the things I was saying, that when I feel the most sexy is when I'm providing sleep, hydration, allowing myself what is really right for my body.
right,
There is where sensuality comes from,
right.
right?
Getting in touch with your fascia and all the
Uh,
lymphatic system, and getting into all the systems and getting to know your body, you start becoming more and more aware of yourself and what it needs.
yeah. And I think that, we don't always understand, why am I tired? Why is my nose running? Why do I have a little headache?
Yeah.
Why am I get grumbly stomach? Think. Ask yourself those questions.
Right.
Not like, oh, I just have a headache. Oh, I just have rumbly stomach. Oh, I just got, bloodshot red hands, inflammation from that meal. Think about, oh, I just ate that meal. What in that meal? What caused that?
Right.
Why don't I feel good? I'm going to test that again. Maybe in those 3 items, I'm going to test them individually because I ate them all 3 together. I don't know which one I reacted from. But whenever your body's trying to communicate, don't ignore it. It is trying to talk to you.
Yeah.
And that is
Love
the
it.
most wonderful system we've got.
Yeah.
It's always trying to have our back, and we just keep ignoring it
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, you know?
Mm-hmm.
So it feels
Oh,
good not to, you know?
yeah. No, it's a brilliant system. You know,
It is.
it's all connected, and yeah, there's lots of messages.
Yeah.
And usually by the time we start feeling that, we've missed a lot of other messages for
Yeah.
it to be like, okay, it's in your
Right.
face, you're sick now. You know, so
Well, we are human. Sometimes we
yeah.
need a little hit over the head,
Yeah, like
a
me. I
little
mean, it's
kick in the
happened.
butt.
I'm like injured and I'm like, what? Like, what do you mean? I can't,
Yeah.
you know, I get so
Maybe I
mad
should
at
go
myself
run
because I was,
longer.
yeah. It's so silly.
I know.
Well, thank you so much. I love you to death. I'm
I
so
love
glad that
you.
we're on this path together and I have you in my life. And I love learning from you. Thank you for all your wisdom and knowledge.
Yeah, it's back at you. And I
Yeah.
look forward to seeing you.
Yes, me
Okay.
too.
And for
Yay.
all you listeners, just trust yourself, right?
Mhm.
Trust yourself. Believe
Yeah.
in yourself.